Are we ready? 3, 2, 1, rolling! I don't know what. It's okay, I can cut it out anyway. So, hi guys, my name is Cherry and I am married to Rob. So, as of you are asking how he did his visa going to the Philippines. So, I'm gonna ask him questions. What visa did you get?
A non-immigrant visa.
And how long is the process? Because that's most people asking on TikTok.
First, let me say that people keep asking what the number of visa is or whatever. I just went to the website of the Philippine consulate in Los Angeles, and I just clicked on non-immigrant visa for a spouse of a Filipina. And it took me where I needed to go. So there's all sorts of different circumstances. Your mileage may vary. So what was your question again? Sorry.
How long is the process?
Oh, actually, it was really strikingly quick. Now, we are lucky to live only an hour or so from the Los Angeles consulate, and there are half a dozen consulates around the country, like in New York and Houston, I think Chicago. But if you are too far to actually go to a consulate and ask any questions, then I guess you can use any in the country to communicate with. If you can get them to email you back, but they're not answering their phones. They didn't, at least not the Los Angeles consulate never answers their phones. The Philippine embassy in Washington D.C. never answers their phones.
Yeah.
So we had to drive down there, on a couple of different occasions over the months to just ask somebody's, basic questions. Unfortunately,
that's true. So they're also
but I didn't answer your question though. So yeah, it's difficult to deal with the Philippine government in that way. But once we got the information, and the website is pretty good. We got our package together, sent it all in. We dropped it off at the local post office on Tuesday. It went to the nearby consulate and came back into our mailbox at home on Friday. So you can't beat that.
Yeah, that is really good, actually. So what are the requirements for the visa?
Okay, first of all, the requirements have to be mailed in by U.S. mail. If they specifically say do not use FedEx, for example. There is an application form that you can download from their sites, of course. You have to send in a photocopy of your passport as well as the original passport, both of those things.
Yeah.
And I myself was pretty nervous about mailing my passport to a government that doesn't answer its phones. But like I said, worked like a charm. 3 days later, came back, the passport with the visa stuck inside.
Yeah.
Now the passport has to be, has to have an expiration date 6 months after you are arriving.
So,
also you need a 2x2 size passport style photo, which I spent too much money. I went down and had it done at an office supply place. You can just have it done just against your wall. They don't care.
Yeah, and you also need to put a signature on top of that 2x2 pictures.
Yeah. You have to sign the front of the picture.
Yeah.
Now you need a photocopy of proof of round trip booking, and the LA consulate says parentheses unpaid reservation end parentheses. And this was confusing to me, but I discussed this a lot with the staff and tried it out. And it turns out what they want is they just want to see the itinerary. That's really what they want.
Yeah, just the itinerary. And it should be both your spouse and your husband's name.
And then by the itinerary, not that you write it out. It's got to be on the airline's website.
Yeah.
All right, so it's going to be there before you pay for your ticket. When you're about to pay, basically, you have to whatever you have to do, like screenshot it maybe, and make copies. But it's got to have, both spouses, the American and the Filipino spouse, and it's got to. I was thinking about.
What?
What else was I going to say?
Return. It's both return ticket, something like that. They need to. It's basically you just need to book it, but you're not gonna pay for it. You just put out all your information, and then after that, you just took a screenshot of it. That's the tricky part, because it's hard to do screenshot, and they're not gonna mail it to you if you ask the airline, because we called Philippine airline a lot of times. They didn't know what to do about it. They can't email it. They're suggesting to use third party, but we didn't do it. We just took a screenshot of it. They don't really care as long as they see both our names on the paper. So I think that's it.
Yeah, the third party stuff, it seems kind of scammy to me, and needlessly expensive too. It's like you got to spend like $60 to use this online travel agency, which they just basically collect your money in order to be able to have something official looking that you can show the Philippine government or whatever government. But don't worry about that stuff. The Philippine government is very clear. They don't really, just an itinerary printed from the airline's website.
Yeah, what else?
Proof of financial capacity, like printout of credit card accounts. Of course, credit card accounts just show how much money you're spending, not that you can support yourself necessarily. But yeah, they want you to show proof that you're not going to be a burden on their economy, which is reasonable. Mm-hmm. So that means bank statements, like definitely, absolutely include your savings checking account, any investments you have, to show that you have money to fall back on. You're not depending on scraping by while you're in the Philippines. It's a little bit vague here. It says not limited to, these types of things. I sent in the front page of our tax return, our federal tax return, to show our exact income for last year. So real estate properties, ownership, stuff like that. If you own your house, I would send in a copy of the deed, just the front page of the deed. So it does say you will need more than one type of proof of financial capacity. Okay, the next thing is you need to send in a cashier's check or U.S. postal money order made out to the Philippine Consulate General.
It's just $30.
$30, yeah.
Yeah.
The original and photocopy of proof of marriage. Now, I want to point out here that the Philippines does not recognize same-sex marriage, and so you will not be able to avail yourself of this particular privilege, unfortunately. So,
what? I didn't know that.
It says, because it says here on page 1, marriage defined by Philippine law.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So in other words, I looked at that. I said, it's not that you have to be married in the Philippines. It's not that you have to, a man and a woman have to take their documents to the Philippine government, have them examine it, nothing like that. They're just saying that, you can't marry same sex is what they're really getting at.
Yeah, what else do we need?
Okay.
My birth certificate.
Yes, Cherry's birth certificate. And it was funny, they did not ask for a copy of your passport photo.
Yeah, but we just send it anyway.
We did.
So we just send a photocopy of my passport and then a request letter at the back. So.
Well, yeah. Well, here's another thing. It's like, it says here that you should have a request letter if the Filipino is in the Philippines at the time. Then they want a notarized letter from the Philippines. The language is a little confusing in their instructions, and just to be on the safe side, Cherry wrote a little note saying, my husband and I will be traveling to the Philippines, sign, all that stuff. Just be sure, because it's easy, and why not eliminate any possible confusion.
Yeah, and then what else? Notarize something.
Well, that was what I was saying, is that if the Filipino is in the Philippines, then she has to have a letter notarized in the Philippines. And that seems like a more complicated process. Us, because we're living together, we're traveling together, it's easier.
Plus, the form, you need to notarize the form.
Yes. the application itself, it doesn't actually say that it has to be notarized. But if you look at it carefully, there's a box there that says it does. Just get it notarized. Yes, get it notarized.
Because it will cost you money. Just kidding.
Anyway, let's see.
What else did we miss?
Oh, you have to send it through the post office using priority mail, and you have to include in there a return envelope that is also priority mail with a tracking number. So basically, you go down to your friendly local post office and you say, I really don't want this to get screwed up. Please tell me what to do. And I did that, and they were very helpful. And now, also, this is important. You will need, as a foreigner, Cherry won't need it, Philippine citizen. I'm a U.S. citizen. I obviously no Philippine citizenship. If you're a foreigner entering the Philippines, even during normal times, you will need an onward or return ticket. Sometimes people will just tell you it's a return ticket, but it's basically you have to show that you are flying somewhere after the Philippines because you're just a tourist, right? You're in a tourist visa. You're just a visitor. All right. So if that's true, they say you should be able to produce a ticket saying you're going somewhere within, and you have 59 days, right? So we are hoping to arrive, say, July 1st. All right. So I have to have a ticket getting me out of the Philippines within 59 days of July 1st, which is what, August 29th. I'll make it for August 26th or something, 25th to be on the safe side in case there's a cancellation or whatever. So now once I'm in the Philippines, I can go down to the government office. I can get my visa extended. I mean, I did that for years. I mean, generally, if you're willing to wait in line and pay the money, they're happy. And from what I've heard, that has not changed even under COVID-19. However, when you're going there, even if you're going to stay there for years, you have to pretend that you're going to be leaving within 59 days. Now, what you can do is, I mean, there's all these gimmicks where you buy a ticket that's only good for 24 hours and stuff, so it's only $10. It's really a pretty scammy way to fool the Philippine government. You know what? I want to mess with that stuff. But what I have done, and what lots of people have done in the past, is they'll buy an onward ticket for the cheapest destination they can find from the Philippines, which is Macau or
Malaysia.
Malaysia.
That was before pandemic, so I don't know. I don't know what people do.
What do you do when you're not allowed to travel between countries so easily, right?
Yeah, but the visa extension is available. Anyway.
But this is tricky. I mean, because what I ended up doing in my case, what I'm going to do is get a round trip ticket to the United States. I'm going to have to come back to the United States at some point anyway, right? It's an expensive thing to do if I don't use it, but I'm pretty sure I'll use it to come back. But what do you do? I mean, it's a question that the people at the consulate couldn't really answer because, the list, the requirements for different countries, the restrictions from different countries and who can come in is changing day by day. So if I get an onward ticket to Malaysia because it's cheap, well, suppose the Malaysian government isn't allowing people in this week. Well, then they've announced that they expect to change it next week. Well, but what if they don't? Well, but what if they're allowing us in, and then my flight comes and they've suddenly changed it, so now they're not. And I don't know what the Philippine government, what their approach would be to it. So be careful about that. And I took the safe route to take a round trip to the United States. I know I'll be allowed back into the United States.
Yeah, and you can also use this voucher thingy.
Philippine Airlines is very good about this. And
maybe we will going to discuss it later. If you want us to do it in the next video, just comment down below and we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye!
Bye.